think everyone has a way they should feel about things. I don't know what you see when she's saying she doesn't worry. I see worry and panic, and I think that the first blunder was in the response from her PR, the spokesperson of Parliament. I don't think that was the way to go about government sanctions to another government. And I am waiting for a day I will share information about her properties in the UK and tag and quote a tweet where she said, I don't even have a pussycat there, because she knows she has property there. So, but generally about the sanctions, I think for me and other people that care about accountability in this country, it made my week. I hate that.
You have no sympathy for her?
No.
Or the other two former ministers?
You see,
from your work on the parliamentary exhibition?
From my work, not just that, but from my work on how she has handled Parliament since she took over. I think she's going to go down in history as the only person that has been sanctioned in her second year of leadership. Well, it's not yet 3 years. Yeah, I think it will be 3 years at the end of this month. So if you have a country that doesn't care about accountability for citizens' resources, you are going to be happy. And I hear them, oh, imperialists, so what? But if I had a father...
Katesh is here. Honorable Katesh Shumba was one of those on the floor of Parliament calling on imperialists.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
He's one of her defenders. Yes. She has many, but yeah. So I was saying that if I had a father that abuses his children, or any one of us, you would be happy if a neighbor intervenes and so that they don't kill you. So me, I am very happy. It doesn't matter where the punishment or sanctions comes from. It doesn't even matter the rationale. I have heard people say, oh, but it can't be because of Mabati. Me, I don't care. I know that I have put out stuff there that shows she's mismanaging resources of Parliament, and many others know it. If we have a government that does not think that's important, that does not even... She admitted the sheets issues, she admitted herself taking them, returned them. That was enough for someone to be charged and prosecuted. She wasn't.
She said that she had taken them to work on a public school.
But they were not meant for a public school in her constituency.
And she has said that it is because she presided over the anti-homosexuality bill that's why she's being sanctioned.
But Kadaga presided over the anti-homosexuality bill in 2013. Was she sanctioned? And the anti-homosexuality bill, the speaker is not the one who even should pay for that. You know, if we knew our jobs, the job of a speaker is to just arbitrate these debates, to sit and be a referee and say, Asuman Masari, as far as we know, introduced the anti-homosexuality bill. The Committee of Legal scrutinized it and wrote a report. It came back to the House. The MPs voted over it. The people that voted are all on record. We know that it was just 2 people that voted no. Why didn't they sanction the MPs? Why didn't they sanction
at least? Voted for it as well.
At least, oh yeah, he did. Why didn't they sanction at least the 2 that led it? So if we are going to, and you know, there's this cartoon that Spire drew during that time when it shows thief and no, the homosexuals are after me. Like, if we are going to take the homosexuals as an excuse every time, but like I've told you, that the parliament that was led by Kadaga, the 9th parliament, passed the anti-homosexuality bill, and she was not sanctioned.
You know, Katesh, whenever I have Agatha on gang, I start to worry a lot. And now she's making drama out of my worrying. Because
she's breaking news.
She's what? I beg your pardon?
She's breaking news. You know, stuff's yet to come.
No.
So when she starts talking about...
He thinks they will switch off capital because...
Yes. When she now starts talking about property and so on,
you
start to worry very much.
I'm just saying, you wait.
So over to you, Katesh, because you've just arrived, but you are the MP in the studio.
He has been teeing off at the golf course.
No, it's okay. Yes.
He will go after, but you're the MP in the studio. Of course, you're going to say that these colonialists, attacking our sovereignty and so on. I've given you opening lines, yeah.
Why are you trying to? In Parliament, we call it debating in anticipation. It is actually not allowed. Actually, I don't know what your question is. Let me say good morning to the listeners.
That's a bit unusual. How are you, my brother?
But at least this time you haven't told me that I've asked the wrong question.
Yeah.
So, what are the sanctions? Were these sanctions necessary? What will they mean for the Speaker and the two former ministers?
Well, I read about the sanctions from a press release. There was a press release
by Parliament.
By the government of UK. So that press release is entitled "UK sanctions corrupt politicians in Uganda who stole from vulnerable communities." So the press release says that UK imposing sanctions on Ugandan politicians, including Speaker of Parliament, following corruption charges for stealing from the poorest of communities, etc. First of all, I think every country, it is in their right to issue sanctions if they wish. If Uganda wanted to issue sanctions against any country, it is within their right as UK. Secondly, the reasons they have stated are generating debate within the House, within the country, about the rationale behind the sanctions. Because we are in the same country, Agatha. So don't say I'm not saying within the whole country or within a specific population. I'm just saying within the country because I'm part of the ecosystem. So the reasons they have given are generating a debate, and it might be whether it is perception versus the real intent. So that's the debate that is going on, and everybody has a right to dismiss whether the perceptions are far-fetched.
Joseph, Katesh is usually very fluent.
Yes,
speaks quickly.
Yes.
Now he's choosing each word on this occasion.
No, I'm building my
I've been
point.
following that very closely.
So
choosing one word, then half a word, then half a sentence.
Yeah, so because you wanted to determine the script I should take. Unfortunately, I will not do it. I have to apply my mind and objectivity to this matter. So I stated clearly that any country, it is within their right to issue sanctions. Whether they are right or wrong, that's their business. Number two,
let him continue. You are not on microphone. Go on.
Number two, the sanctions, the reasons they have given, because I'm looking at the statement I have explained, and they are generating questions and discussions whether what is perceived to be the reasons behind the sanctions, stealing from the poor, vis-a-vis the real intent. Because the debate is, okay, if it is about Mavati stealing from Karamoja, why then do you target XYZ and leave ABCD? That one you cannot take it away from the debate. People have a right to ask and discuss. Why do you say you are tackling A, B, C, D? Secondly, from where I sit, Oscar, the analysis seems to suggest that the government of UK was trying to avoid perhaps a direct collision with the executive. So they skirt around the issue, leave out some people who are charged, leave the other big people involved in Mawati, zero down on the two who are vulnerable, they are out of cabinet, then put your big target and try and isolate her in the corner so that she can be abandoned, and then you put whatever pressure you want to do. That seems to be the case, and therefore the diplomats may have a different analysis, but that being the case, then it becomes a matter of how does the government of Uganda respond. I do not believe that everybody should be jumping up and down to respond to this matter, but it is a matter that is a political and diplomatic issue. That the Minister of Foreign Affairs, first of all, needed to interact with the ambassador here, get the details, and be able to state the position through a diplomatic and a political process. That would perhaps mitigate the trap, which I think is the trap of saying let's isolate a particular target and then have this Ugandans to sugarcoat the issue, but the real reasons are behind. And for me, it would have been better if you actually come out full blast, give all the cries you have. Like, Agatha here says, I don't mind for whatever reason they could have used it, but why don't you throw them out there? Why move around the issue? And that's a perception in the public, and we represent the public. So people are saying, no, we know this is the reason, but it's not written. And so my view that
maybe Katesh, you keep away from the word public for now.
Okay.
Now, because a few weeks back, Parliament was not looking so good in the public.
Yes, of course.
And that's our listener, BMK Gift.
Cats of the disruptor. Agatha.
and our listener here, BMK Gift Senior, says at Semayam's okay, Triple A didn't say that she doesn't respond to rumors, but she instead said that she doesn't respond to social media, the same channel through which the sanctions came.
So there was an official statement from
very quickly
from Mitchell. The overseas development minister.
So for me, I think that maybe government, I think, has got.
Should check his source. Let's go to Joseph. Put Katesh out of some misery.
The only misery I have is the weather outside, because you see how I'm dressed. Yeah.
I've never.
She's my MP, by the way.
She's your MP. Yeah.
She has.
But Abdul Katunti is in the studio. He will give support. You're most welcome.
I've never seen Katesh so subdued.
Because of the weather.
I woke up early morning. I went to the game to play. Now I wake up, I see the weather forecast. It is only showing 20% of the rain, and then suddenly it has changed. So I'm not in the.
Please populate your phone with the right apps.
Let's go to Joseph. Joseph Ocheno, I presume that you are fully in agreement with Agatha that whatever the charge is, you have been waiting for it.
No, I am actually fully in with the citizens of this country. Indeed, my continued sympathy go to the people of Karamoja. In fact, I once upon a time nearly shed tears at a media house when we're discussing the possibilities that the most privileged people in this country could be amongst the people who, in a very arrogant way, very publicly seek to deny the poorest, the most vulnerable in this country, the people from Karamoja, the very basics, in this case, iron sheets, some goats that never arrived, and let's not forget money. I suggested that if there was Chogam, if there was Temangalo, amongst the crudest criminality, and I use that very deliberately, where the theft of monies and resources intended for HIV/AIDS and malaria, lest we forget, and the worst amongst all, if we can put the three of them together, is the Karamoja scandal. So there is no way any average Ugandan citizen should be able to defend this. But I think where I agree with Agatha is the shocking attempt by our people who rule us, who allegedly lead us, to attempt to fight this. And if there was any advice, possibly Edgar will help. Katesh suggests the same, that it is the responsibility of the government of Uganda, if we ever have one, to come up and attempt to diplomatically manage the response, because it's basically a state-to-state thing. In any case, our Speaker of Parliament is amongst the top leaders, and actually within the democratic dispensation. That's what I told another network. I don't know of any situation where a Speaker of Parliament has ever been sanctioned. When the Americans and their allies were sanctioning Saddam Hussein, they tried their level best, Katesh, to avoid actually the then Minister for Foreign Affairs, because that was the diplomatic space, and so for this to happen here, it's no longer business as usual. Sanctions, from the time I was in primary school, we were shouting about sanctions against apartheid South Africa. We went on to continue talking sanctions and the hypocrisy around it, which some of the people come around to talk about.
Is the reason you were ousted in 1971.
Absolutely true.
So the UDI.
Indeed, and it's not
Universal Declaration of Independence.
Indeed, and it's not new. So it's a major weapon.
ANC was sanctioned, so was Mandela, designated terrorist.
Yeah. So, but from the
remember that.
Indeed. So it's not necessarily anything new. But so for it to come here in this very mild way, my only disappointment is that we are talking Anita plus 2 vulnerable ministers, and we're not talking about what is happening in State House, and we're not talking about higher offices, including Minister for Finance, who plays miracle at this bank garden, finds Mabati there. The other thing, though, is that while there was an attempt to respond by my very good friend Chris Obore on behalf of the NR State, he's my colleagues and your colleague in fraternity. We are all brothers and sisters in this country. You know, to seem to bring the question of imperialism, the question of sovereignty, is rather cheek. You know, it is not an easy thing for normally these governments to take the line that they did take. My opinion is that perhaps we needed to be asking ourselves more why it took this long for these people to be sanctioned, and as I said, why possibly these individuals. I am one of those people who has been asking for targeted sanctions against individuals in this country in the last 30 years, particularly arms sanctions, targeted sanctions around arms, the kind of thing that beat up people in the streets of Kampala. And as I mentioned, 2 things to do with Temangalo and malaria and related situations. I think that Uganda should be talking less about sanctions about UK, but the fact that has happened expose the corruption that is taking place in this country, the impunity that is taking place in this country, the fact that the people who've been sanctioned, you know, except the 2, you know, some of them already, many of them are already continuing to serve in government, and what is at stake is our public monies. This relates to the more recent desperate attempt to begin to review taxes and begin to target people in Chikubu, when the real guys are the people who have not been mentioned. So to that extent, I will agree with Katesh that the bigger issue is not yet being mentioned. But just a quick one, though. I think, unfortunately, in diplomacy, the way the UK state is working, possibly they are trying to put a hint of their displeasure while leaving the bigger and the bigger. And how the bigger state, the national state, operates and responds should really be something that concerns us. Unfortunately, the way it happens, most of us ordinary citizens don't know that we are waiting for bigger, more complicated situations arising.
Thank you, Joseph.
Yeah.
Sure.
Edgar, do sanctions matter?
Yes.
The last time we knew of a sanctioned person, was it General Kaihura? And I don't think the sanctions per se affected him, did they?
Sanctions are very insidious, my friend. And I'm not very comfortable discussing the name that you just mentioned.
He's not up for discussion, but I just mentioned.
Is it because he's from Tsaro?
No, we actually distant relatives. He's a cousin, but
we're talking about sanctions, not him.
No, we had an exchange and.
Never seen Edgar started again.
No, because he started with
Now it's your turn.
Kaihura. No, he started with General Kaihura. And
The question is, do they matter? Do sanctions
they do,
matter?
and I started by saying that sanctions are very insidious. We may chest thump and invoke all these sophistry, Pan-Africanism, imperialism, and sovereignty. At the end of the day, it's the bearer of the sanctions who faces the music. I'll give you an example of what happens. One, no bank that operates the SWIFT will be comfortable dealing with you anymore. In fact, quietly, from the information we've been getting, the banks do write to them that Honorable so-and-so, given that you've been put on the red list, we are unable to continue the bank-client relationship, banker-customer relationship. And as such, we have to say goodbye. It's been done to many officials in the region, and I believe in Uganda too, from what that we've been hearing. Your relations, immediate relations, progeny. There's an official I know in the region whose child, progeny, had their admission rescinded at one of the universities, one of the Ivy College, one of the Ivy League universities, and they told the child that it was a pleasure having you here, but we can't continue this because of these sanctions.
The child was already.
Had already registered as for a higher degree.
So we can also have other instances.
For
10 years, the Honorable Senator Muchagulani was sanctioned
in the UK. There are also other generals in Uganda I'm not comfortable mentioning on air.
Why?
For obvious reasons. These are facts. So, no, but they also go for your business associates. If for some reason he was introduced, although he didn't speak, the Honorable, my senior and former teacher, Abdu Katuntu, were to trade under Katuntu and Tavaro. And he's sanctioned because he's the more likely candidate.
No, but Abdu has already spoken. That's unfair.
They would say, Mr. Tavaro, we say we are unable to deal with you in these sisters. We can't accept you. We can't permit you to do business in the territories in the country that has been sanctioned. So they are that insidious. And this chest thumping going around, I don't see any productivity in it, quite frankly. And drawing from what Honorable Katesum has submitted, I think there is a tragic failure of diplomacy. And I'll give background to it. In 1991, Major Innocent Bisangu and Ambassador Kapimpina Katenta Apuli were arrested in Orlando, Florida, buying illicit weapons. They were arrested together with Egyptian generals. Now, the Egyptian generals, they were all charged in court, but the charges against Bisangu and Katenta Apuli were dropped. The ones against the Egyptian generals continued. Now,
because the others didn't matter anyway.
Not that
At the timing and strategically so.
Strategically so,
yes,
and we know where those weapons were going.
Yes.
And the geopolitics of the time were that United States was for that formation.
Correct.
And diplomatically they engaged. First of all, Katenta Apuli was our accredited envoy to Washington DC, but I also do know from my interactions with the powers that be that your good friend, as well as your good friend, your former colleague,
Who's friends?
now deceased, the Honorable Siriori Agri-Awori, was very critical in negotiating the dropping of those charges. Why? An Ivy Leaguer, and you know what Agri-Awori used to do behind the curtains.
Yes.
We all know what those of us who are close to him know what he was doing.
Leave my arrested
and
elder.
unknown to the public, Agri-Awori was actually related through marital relation with the then Director General of the spy chief then, General Jim Muhwezi. These are things people don't know. And he was very critical in negotiating their release and what have you.
Then he was acting on behalf of Uganda, not individuals.
You see now, the individual, I'm talking about these individual relationships do matter. And I'd like to fast forward. You remember in 2005 when your principal was arrested on return from South Africa, and we were going to negotiate.
My then principal.
Your then principal, Uganda went to Malta. Was it Malta? Chogam, Malta, preparing to host Chogam 2007. Was it 2007?
Lobbying at the time, yeah.
They were lobbying at the time to host Chogam. And everybody in our space, majority of people in our space were pretty much agreed that Uganda was not going to host that conference. Why? I mean, the pictures were glaring and really ugly, creating a very bad impression about Uganda. There was that one individual, the Honorable Samuel Kahamba Kutesa, who created a personal relationship with what was it? Don McNaughton, the Secretary General of
Don McNaughton,
ex-Foreign Minister of Australia. Personal relationship, and it is those personal relationships that helped.
But you see, international diplomacy, that's how it works.
Yeah, exactly. That's how it works.
I mean,
that's what I'm saying, Honorable Katuntu. That
you just have to have the right people,
people
in the right places to do the right thing.
And it's a full-time responsibility, not part-time. You have to pursue it like your life depends on it.
Yeah.
In the late 80s, early 90s, the late John Kazora, John Rutajema, John Wycliffe Rutajema Kazora, was very critical in working behind the scenes, particularly with the Chatham House.
And at the time, some of us, the work we're doing, including with Don McKinnon, our letters and the petitions, they would just be dropped in the baskets.
I know when you were in Manchester. I know the things you used to author. They would be dropped. Now, I can assure you, there's a very big juncture as to what is happening at Westminster and Buckingham Palace. President Museveni has very good relations with Prince William through a foundation that Prince William is patron. It's a you know it in Bushen. You know it. You're a beneficiary, not directly, but as a community. And you're aware, His Excellency President.
So what are you saying?
I'm saying diplomacy because you walked out. I'm talking about diplomacy. I'm talking about
his mind walked out.
No, he was upset-minded. I'm talking about diplomacy.
So all of us together, that the way the response has been made really does not serve the purposes for our country.
Now, Honorable Mulimba has issued a statement. There's a same statement I've seen this morning. It's the best attempt at diplomacy that we've done thus far. Now, going forward, it came a little bit too late.
Yes, going forward,
the Right Honorable Among should engage in what they call risk mitigation. She is wearing a crown and seated in a very dangerous seat. We have an administration that has been around for 40 years. They are regime change agents in those Western capitals. And they have agents in this country, and possibly even on this table where we're seated. I said possibly. I don't know why some people are protesting.
For the record, I'm not the one protesting. In any case,
I am not a candidate.
I am
not a candidate. And some regime change agents are principled. So they will bend each and every rule Agatha, please don't look at me that way. I'm not calling you an unprincipled regime change agent. It's okay to want to change the regime.
So long as I am the principled one, I receive it.
Honorable Katutu, please, the Honorable Kateshova, please relay this message to the Right Honorable Among. She ought to deploy smarter people in managing her affairs going forward. You have the resources. She has to engage in risk mitigation. You touched on, we talked about this when Dr. Dennis Matanda was here talking, when we were discussing AGOA. You cannot go after a minority group in a liberal democracy and expect those people to fold their hands. The two biggest and most influential lobby groups in this world are the Jewish lobby and the gay people. You touch them, please bear the consequences, like they say.
So you have now agreed with the speaker.
When you lay a bed,
but Edgar, it's actually dangerous. We're not there for suggesting that this issue about homosexuality or any Jewish lobby is really about what these guys did in this country and what they contribute to.
But to be fair to the Right Honorable Mong, she returned the Mabati. She returned the Mabati. We have had many people. There was a minister for tourism, if you remember, Honorable Katutu, in the early 90s. You remember there was a minister for tourism. I'm not going to mention his name because he's deceased. He borrowed a television set from Nile Conference Center, and he developed a bad quarrel with Goreme, Frederick Goreme, whom he dismissed as the director of International Conference Center. And you remember the issue of the TV set came up. But because he was amiable, good with the public, and a good friend of the Honorable Katutu, they let it go. But I mean, he had diverted the public property.
I'm going to pause you now, and then we go to Abdu Katonto. So we have sanctions. The Speaker of Parliament has been sanctioned by the UK. Does it matter to begin with from you?
It does matter, but it's not surprising. And I really don't know what this Hurubal is all about. Did we see it coming? We saw it coming.
Yeah.
Did we see it coming with the Mabati? No.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And let me give you the facts. I was chairperson of the organizing committee of the Commonwealth Speakers and Presiding Officers Conference. Immediately, we passed that anti-homosexuality law. Canada, United Kingdom, New Zealand, Malta, Australia went on an overdrive saying Uganda should not host this conference. They wrote letters to all the Commonwealth countries' parliaments urging member states not to come for that conference. We also now had to go in an overdrive. And for 3 months, Oscar, you knew my travels. I was in the Asia, I was in the Caribbean, talking to countries, individual countries. For 3 months, I was out of this country. And when we reached there, these people had even sent footages how the gay people in this country are being mistreated and so on. Killed. I remember when we were in British Virgin Islands. There is that footage which is always on TV when they are hitting, UPDF is hitting somebody, I think, a journalist or what. Then it was like, this how gay people in Uganda are treated. So we're not coming. The US actually went and issued a statement that we are going to do targeted sanctions, and actually they have done it. However, with the US system is different. It's when you go there like you want to have a visa that they disclose it. And for sure, they even wrote, remember, a letter to the Right Honorable Speaker saying, please bring your passport for review. And the Speaker said, no, the passport belongs to is a property of the Republic of Uganda. So if you want it to write to government, they will give it to you. So, and this happened last year, Oscar. We knew it was coming. And when we eventually hosted the CISPOC, as we call it, the patrons of the Commonwealth is United Kingdom. They boycotted, they didn't attend. Why? It was not about Mabati. It was about homosexuality. Australia, which handed over, because they are the ones we had the CISPOC in Australia, in Canberra, and I was there, didn't attend. New Zealand didn't attend. So is Canada and another country called Malta. Sir Linsley, the Speaker of the House of Commons, is my friend. We discussed, I even had in my mind how we are going to host him and so on, where I asked him whether we could do, he can take off another 2-3 days after the conference, go to our parks and so on. Wrote a 3-paragraph letter without giving a reason. I'm unable to attend. So to go back to everybody who has, who doesn't want to, who wants to be honest with himself, this thing is all about what we did. And let me tell you, we went and had a meeting with the president when we passed that law. He called 7 of us, I think, but it was eventually a public meeting. He told us, you guys, you've done this, but be ready for the consequences. He did it. And we all are aware. Now, we went ahead and had one of the most successful Commonwealth conferences here in Kampala in January. One of the most successful in the history of the Commonwealth.
What makes it successful? Numbers, attendance?
Both.
No, I just...
Both. It was well organized. Numbers were good, because you can imagine when the patron does not come and you have a rebellion of the member states to come and attend, except you who are sympathetic. I'm not talking about Agatha, but I'm talking about the other people who are sympathetic or who have embraced homosexuality. But for example, the entire continent came, Africa. Big countries in the Asia, Pakistan, Malaysia, Singapore, India, mention it, Sri Lanka, all of them were here. I can tell you, did you, Agatha, you were one of the most informed journalists. You must have followed this conference. You did to the latter. Did you see it? Did you watch it? So to me...
I wanted to know the determinants of success from your perspective. Yeah,
the attendance, and when when you have somebody say, don't attend, don't go, and eventually people said, no, we've had the big man patron, but we are going, and they came. That makes it successful. But even the numbers, you get, we had even speakers who took off more days after the conference to stay around and fraternize. And they used to say that when you go to Uganda, you don't know this country is this country is this, and they came and they saw it wasn't. So Oscar, yes, true, is corruption.
Just hold on.
That's okay.
Send the microphone to you.
So to me, it is true that there is corruption in Uganda. It is true there is a cancer. That is a real cancer, and it's true we need to fight it together, and we also need the international community and address it. But what I detest is the dishonesty in this. If you want to glorify homosexuality, do it. And we know this issue is about homosexuality. One, it is not our value, it is not our norm, it is not our aspiration as a people. And I did talk to the United Kingdom. I said, look here, as a Commonwealth, we need to unite on issues that unite us. However, those that divide us, let us discuss. I even asked Canada, I said, can we now put homosexuality? Now, this is very interesting. Listen to this, Oscar. I said now that please come and we put homosexuality on the what? On the agenda. They said, no, don't. Can you imagine? They refused flatly. I said, no, let us put it, whether it is the only issue the Commonwealth conference will discuss. Let's put, they said, we don't want that discussed. Why? So, Oscar, yes, was Mabati a good thing? It was a very ugly. It was, it was one of the most stupid things. And I think people, like, we've seen there's a court process going on. To me, a man like my brother, my friend Amos Rugolobi, should not even wait for the court process. This one who got the Mabati and did the piggery.
It was a goat.
Well,
I know how much it despise pigs.
no, but okay, do you despise goats? So okay, the one of goats is called what? The other is called
It's
the
a goat's
tingare.
pain,
The
goat's
other
pain.
is it a
Goat's
goatare
pain.
or what?
God's that is vintage.
So Oscar, so let me tell you, we have cases like that, and if we are honest, how do you get that sort of person and you don't sanction him, and then you say, well, let me go for others?
He's a minister for planning, so I think the honourable
So,
Mitchell has to.
It
continue
is
dealing
true,
with executive.
Oscar. One, that United Kingdom has got a right to sanction whoever they think they will not.
They also have politics because the
course, they
leading
do.
party is not
Politics.
doing very well. So.
Absolutely, they have to do it and so on. But it would be difficult for them to say we are sanctioning. You know, the British are not like the cowboys. The British, they're a little bit of subtle. You know, even when they came here for colonialism, let me tell you, there are things they were doing and we liked them. Very, very much.
Indirect rule.
Yes, you know, they'll do that and we miss them. Say, hey, by the way, these guys were good and so on. But colonialism was an evil. But let me tell you, what they did, some of them we miss them. And that's how they work. The cowboys don't do that. For example, when we passed that law, the following week, was it the following day? The following week, when they removed us from AGOA.
AGOA, yeah.
It wasn't long.
It was immediate because
Blinken immediately tweeted.
Blinken immediately
And they're very definitive.
tweeted,
Yes.
and that's what happened.
Okay.
So, Oscar, one, did we see this coming? Yes. Are there many people who are on that list? Yes. I'll give you an example. The other day, Honorable Opendi, you remember?
Sorry.
They also wanted to travel, and that's when she applied for visas. That's when they waived it.
Yeah.
That's when they waived it. I'll give you an example. The Honorable Asumani Basalirwa has not applied to travel.
Has not.
He will not. And is he on the list? I would not advise the Honorable Asumani Basalirwa to even dare say that he's applying for visa. But as of now, do you think he's publicly is he there? But let him apply for the US visa. Let me apply for the European visa. It will be thrown on his face, and that's what it is.
Let's have journalist Agatha Atohaire concluding on this topic. I hope you are safe to conclude on it.
On the struggle she started.
You know,
on the struggle.
but
Honorable Asumani Basalirwa can go to China. I don't think that route is closed.
I know I'm talking about
Europe and
I'm talking
the
about
West.
the US and Europe.
Yeah.
That one.
China
wouldn't advise.
China and Russia are not imperialists in this country. They are not foreign interests. It's
No, they actually.
no, I mean from people like you who want to use the foreign foreign interests.
Honorable Abdul Katutu does not belong to that kind of thinking. No. He's a progressive.
I have.
If you have changed the statement.
You mean
I am not an
def-
admirer of those two countries.
He will defend
Neither
himself.
am I, neither
He
am
will
I.
defend himself.
But
I don't even need
But
anybody to go.
the context in which I am saying this is that I have been accused of being an agent of imperialists by both Among and President Museveni and whoever. And the Western imperialists are those the side of the countries on this side. And the president has also said we are going to look for better allies, or allies that respect our sovereignty and whatever. And I wonder why we only see them as imperialists when they say no, what you're doing is wrong. When we are seeking aid and getting loans from them, and with all the support they have given the NRM government from the time President Museveni was still in the bush, the NRA it was not Western imperialists. But I had a question for Honorable Katuntu, and I asked it before he came in. What's the role of the speaker in passing a bill?
To preside over Parliament.
Why is she the one that is targeted for passing for the anti-homosexuality?
Yeah, because everybody said she championed it. Everybody says she championed it, and indeed she went public about it. Yeah, that was it. including actually.
Why wasn't the former speaker
Let me give you the facts.
sanctioned?
Let me give you the facts, including actually those very friends of yours. They are saying this is being championed publicly. So that's not an issue. Everybody knows it's public knowledge that she championed it.
Oh, so it is public knowledge she championed it. Okay, now we are starting to get the truth. So when people were saying it that time, that she actually...
Someone wrote on...
I didn't say
that she
it's
actually...
public knowledge that the perception was that she championed it.
Why wasn't the former speaker, Rebecca Kadaga, sanctioned?
Someone responded to that one, Agatha. I think Levy, he said that because the last bill was thrown out by court, this particular bill has not been thrown out by court.
It was thrown, but it had already been passed. If you are going to punish someone for passing it, and they call it passing it, that it's the speaker who passes a bill, which is not true.
So what are you driving at?
Yes, what I am driving at is that, you know, and Honorable Katun said, yes, is there corruption in this country? Yes. I was waiting for him to say, is the Speaker of Parliament corrupt? Yes, maybe, but...
No, please, and don't do that. And let me tell you, Agatha, this is how I debate.
You thought he can say that?
I speak what I think. I don't want to imagine that I'm on this show to reply to what Agatha is saying.
No one is even saying that, Honorable
So
Katuntu.
you make your point even without
when
reference.
You were speaking, no, because I am just saying that I thought you would say that as well, but of course you didn't.
I'm not you, Agatha, and I can't be
so there is corruption.
Yes.
Yeah, Mabati were stolen.
Correct.
And many people admitted to stealing them. I was surprised that Edgar Tabar was saying that the speaker, at least to be fair to her, she returned them. You are a lawyer. When there's a charge about theft.
I'm not a lawyer. I'm a senior lawyer.
Oh, it doesn't.
So you see, you might compare me to you.
No.
And I think that's wrong.
No. I'm not talking as a lawyer. I am, and you know, this.
I wanted you to conclude on the topic.
I let Honorable Katuntu speak for however
But then you have
long,
been asking him questions. He has to respond.
No, but he's a lawyer. It doesn't matter senior or junior. I'm just saying he's a lawyer, right?
It doesn't matter.
When you are on theft charges, do you say that I returned it and therefore is it one of the elements that returning it makes it you are no longer a thief?
Okay, now let me show you how I am a senior lawyer to you. And my first job.
Not to me, I am a journalist.
No, you sort of read some law. But let me tell you one thing, Agatha. My first job was a state attorney in the Directorate of Public Prosecutions. There is what we call plea bargaining. If you've ever heard about it.
I know it.
Plea bargaining is when the accused person concedes the wrong he has done. And that also influences the decision to charge or not to charge.
And even sentencing.
The sentencing.
So these are basic principles of criminal law.
Determines the sentence, how long
even
you are
to charge or not to charge, even to be a witness of the state or not.
Agatha, the danger is that you delved into the law.
And please don't do that.
Yeah,
please stick to the politics.
What I am,
I beg you kindly.
What
Agatha,
I am saying, so the plea bargaining is that I have come and said,
let me switch off your microphone, Edgar.
No, you see, you are somewhere where is my comfort zone.
Should stick to the family
and stick to what you know.
I am saying that someone returning what they stole does not take away the fact that they stole it. That is what I am saying. Now, if people come and say, on your own admission, that you stole Mabati, which were meant for Karamoja, and we are sanctioning you, which is within their rights to say, we don't want to associate with this person. I am not going to come and say, oh, they should have stated the exact reason. And I am saying it again, that there was a speaker who passed the law. It does not matter whether that law was thrown out or not. The one who threw it out is court, not the speaker. They should have gone against that speaker in 2013. They did not. There is Asuman Basariwa, there is Jonathan Odu that presented that law on the floor of Parliament. There is the legal committee that he sits on, Honorable Katuntu, that wrote the the report that supported the law. They have not gone against anyone there. He's not the chair. I know that for a fact. He's not the chair. So
I have
no, you are not the chair now. He's the chair of rules who sanctioned. Who wrote a report against. Zake, yet they don't deal in social media rumors, and Zake had said the comments on social media. So what
so
I am
in
saying,
short,
just read even the judgment.
Read the constitutional quotation.
Edgar, your microphone is off. So in short, Abdul, in short,
what do you mean?
Agatha, Abdul is not on microphone. So in short, you are not unhappy about the sanctions.
No, I am very happy. I already stated it.
That you are happy.
If we have
whether they have effect or not, you are happy.
We have a government that has refused to hold corrupt people accountable. We are going to be happy for whoever holds them accountable.
Okay, that's a good note to go for the break.